started really working. I can't freaking believe it. Hey, happy Father's Day. Venice, California. Um, they're very cool to have to say. I enjoy it. Yeah, wasn't expecting this to work today, but I think I give it a shot anyway. So, all right. Well, let's do this, or at least look around. Or ooh, there's the sun. There's walk. There's all these people around, and way out there is the. Oop, can't see it. It's over there. You're gonna have to trust me. Okay. Wow, it's working. It's wonderful. So, probably should paint something there. Oh, so I did STrEAMiN today because I knew it was not going to work that well, and I tried to tape the show, and it's caught up there in virtual and it let it go, won't out, shot a whole hour's worth of material and painted this painting on that I'll show you in a sec. And so we're not going to try that again anytime soon. Unfortunately, what I found is I'm trying to get rid of all this pixelation that's happening because it looks really good here, but I'm sure that you're at this point only getting every other word. So it's the way it goes. But we'll keep working on it. Let me see. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't I pull this out? Hey! And I got to tell you that the reason why
You're walking over yourself.
I don't know, the chairs. The reason I checked to see that this was like the sun's in the right place. I started to feel guilty. No, I actually felt I was missing doing it, and yeah, so I just had to give it a shot. So there, keep that. All right, let's see what we can do about putting some paint on some canvas. Yeah. Wow. That's nice. Yesterday, this parade came by, and I went to pick up the computer to show people, show the camera, and broke the glass on the screen. That's not good. So, if there you go. So, did this piece yesterday. It's got an interesting story behind it. You can see most of it. At least, if I may interject. Canvas itself, or I should say, the image came to me a couple of days ago, and I wanted to. I was looking for the painting, you know, and I didn't have a canvas with me, and by coincidence, I was actually thinking about it before I came out. Time to get to the store, and it wasn't. I just was like, I'll go over the weekend and get a canvas from the store, or get some canvas because they've been out of like rock canvas for a couple weeks, and so as soon as I got to my spot, there was somebody put this canvas right next to the tree behind my spot, right next to the palm tree behind my spot. And I was like, what's up with this canvas? And it had, somebody had found it on the beach that very morning, you know, and it was obvious that it'd been left out in the weather for quite a while. So, like, if the universe wants you to paint a painting, you know, it's going to make sure you have something cool. So, so yesterday I painted this, and then the image itself, you know, on this found canvas, acrylic on found canvas, and the composition is inspired by this this phrase that came to me a couple of weeks ago in my studies having to do with you know, the ultimate reality and astral projection and out-of-body experiences and all that. And the phrase is, which is the title of this piece, is, between the earth and the moon there are many worlds. And there's a movie that I highly recommend to anybody and everybody that will listen. The movie's called Astral City, and it tells the story. You may have heard me mention it before. I'm sorry to borrow for you, but it tells the story. It was published in a book in 1944. This Brazilian medium, by this Brazilian medium who channeled the work from this spirit named Andre Luis. And Andre Luis, right? And Andre was a doctor in Rio de Janeiro that died in the mid-1920s. And he, the movie begins, and the book begins with when he wakes up on the other side. And it tells the story of his time on the other side from when he died in the mid-20s until 1943 when he channeled the work to the Brazilian medium. Pico Rivera, I think his name is, the Brazilian medium. And so I saw this movie in 2010, I think 2010, 2011, maybe it was 2012. Yeah, it was 2012. And it had a very, very profound effect on my life. You know, for weeks afterwards, I just felt tremendous just from the information. It's like finally something had touched this spot in the middle of my back that had never been touched before, you know. And you know, I just needed more. I needed to know more. And, while movie and then needing to know more, I went ahead and looked for a free PDF of the, and I found one online. I read just so much more that's oh yeah, you want to look, it's free.
Is this by chance Greek mythology or is architecture?
Not necessarily about mythology, but it's there is a connection with that piece specifically and Greek pantheon because it's 12. This sort of work is.
I heard it's infinite in a way.
Yeah. You know about sacred geometry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is sacred geometry. That's the flower of life right there.
This is amazing.
I was going for amazing.
That's amazing.
Right. I live stream at 6 o'clock just
Really?
about every day. I've been doing this is show number 28.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I got a Mac as well. Those things run perfect.
Yeah. I just broke the screen yesterday.
It's okay.
Glass. You know.
You can replace that.
I know. I'm gonna have to because it's gonna. It keeps shattering. You know.
Computer fanatic. Yeah.
Oh well.
You can probably get replaced by $50.
Oh goody.
It's not too shabby.
No. So I was telling you, so I let's see if I can do this a little better. So download a free PDF of the book, and you're gonna probably won't have to watch the movie because it's just so fascinating. There's parts of the book that really explain a whole lot more than the movie does. And there's this a couple of shots in the movie where you see where this place that are, you know, it's you're in, this is what it looks like. You know, the sun is up here, the moon, you're looking up back on the clouds, mountains. And on the mountains, there's little, conclaves of other people, and each one of those, the astral city itself is only one of like 1,000 places like that on the planet, and these mountaintops are they're in a what we would call a higher dimension, but they're in a different dimension than we are here on the physical plane. And they can see us obviously, but we can't necessarily see them. And when I saw that image initially, I just needed to see more, know more, and and get this inspiration to paint it. So that's what this is, an attempt at painting that, because one of the things it says in the book is that each one of these 1,000 places like at the Astral City, and the Astral City looks like this. It looks like all this ornate, sacred geometry, architecture, and everything. And what totally blew me away. He's talking about it in the movie, and he says this place was built around the 1600s, and I'm like, what? What do you mean it was built around the 1600s? Like, it's not heaven? So if it's not heaven, and then there's this scene where they get on this craft that's like a subway, except it's not attached to anything, and it lifts off, it flies across the city. I'm like, okay, so this is not heaven, but it's this is it's an astral plane that this is on. And I was curious, is it connected, is it another planet or whatever? But it turns out, reading the book, no, it's no other planet, it's Earth. It's the Earth. It's the Earth on another dimension. And these mountaintops, it said that these places, like the Astral City, there's 1,000 more places like that are in connection with the Earth, and the way to determine like where you go is what you with, or speak a certain language and believe in a certain belief system, whether it's religious, non-religious, whatever. It's your business. Is that that's in harmony with that frequency? So Astral City, everybody there that basically spoke Portuguese, and they were mostly Christians in a way. They weren't like heavy duty, they weren't Bible thumping like Christians. They definitely were following along the more pure concept of Christianity, with a focus on Jesus Christ consciousness, and that was their guiding light. But from that is, there's a book called and Black Elk. His stories, it's span so many different. What he was like, Forrest Gump, in that he was, in the right place at the right time to experience all these historical events. That, he was a direct witness to history. He was at Custer's last stand. He was like, I think 13, 14 years old at Custer's last stand, right? And he was, with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, back, and with one of the people in what became to be called the Ghost Stand, a spiritual revival around the 1800s to the 1900s in Native America out west. The movement started, I think, the Shoshone reservations in the Dakota went, they would like dance and the whirling dervishes, the Sufis, would like a Sufi dance all night, and it would get them into a trance state, and then would pick their bodies and go to places, their equivalent, their resonant frequency, their mountain. Cool. Cool. So, saying all to say that I'm talking about Black Elk here, Black, and the people that mission in South Dakota took up the good dance, which was this dance they would do all night long, and very much like the Sufis, and they would get into an altered state and they would go out of their bodies. And he talked about his experience of doing that. in the book, and he went to a place that was like happy hunting grounds, except nothing died. You know? And so one of these hilltops is that mountaintops is that the hunting grounds, right, where those that are in resonance with the Native American belief system would go, right? But yeah, if you get a chance to read the book, definitely, I highly recommend it. So when I read about this, there were 1,000, mountaintops like this. These mountains, it says in the book that they're spiritual mountains and that they're at a higher dimension. So it says it's like higher than our physical mountain on the planet, on the physical planet that we have, and that they are, have to be a lot of them, and that these spiritual mountaintops, I'm reminded of the whole concept of Mount Olympus and Mount Meru. I don't know if you're familiar with that. The mountain of the world mountain. And the whole idea of Mount Olympus. And then what really gets down to it for me is the whole concept of who were the ancient gods? Who were the gods in this context? Because it changes the whole idea about these things that may have actually just been on a different dimension. Able to interact between the dimensions. Sometimes they get seen and sometimes not. But somehow the people on the earth know what the story is with them. And the reason is because the ancients, these, they didn't have the words dimensions. They just, it was, in other words, these other dimensions were closer to people. They were more real, or more the interaction. And the reason this gets us into, these studies doing into out-of-body experiences is the same thing. They were the same. When you die, that's what you do. Is you go out of your body, you come back. Shamans have been going out of bodies and coming back on it, at will for as long as there have been people. And there was a study done 20, 30 years ago, and they realized that they did a survey of the population, and I think they did it to the US, and it said that 25% of the population, and like I said 20 years ago, 25% of the population had out-of-body experiences. Not necessarily all at will, but that's a lot of people, and I'm going to bet do it on purpose. They didn't do it consciously. However, imagine this is, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 years ago. People would have conceptualized those experiences differently, and in some ways it's for granted as given that this is what it is. And to me, it's that I've done on body experience. It seems like having them is in a way like having it's like that we can all do. We all, physically have the capability, of doing it. And until we realize that aspect of ourselves, we continue to crawl. We continue to assume that the world is a place, is all that matters. That's all that counts. And when we think in those terms, then we see the world in a very limited way. We see life in the universe in a very limited way. And application, acting from that limitation is what perpetuates the world being what it is now. Perpetuates the world being a place where we accept a certain level and degree of ignorance. And so, maybe it's just my time, but I feel like that's what I'm here right now to do is for myself, if no one else, is to awaken that aspect of myself, that potential that I know that everybody has, So, hence this inquiry into things like astral projection and out-of-body experiences, and things like the astral city, and it feels to me like the more I study into this, that feels tremendously fulfilling and edifying. I've been starving my whole life, and now I'm finally getting to sit down at the feast table and gorge myself. And the thing is, you can gorge yourself on this stuff, and you can't eat too much. You know what I mean? It's not like you're gonna get fat or something. Hello. So that was the inspiration for this piece, and glad I got a chance to explain all that. So what else? Is there anything else I want to say about that? Yeah, if anybody has any questions about this kind of stuff, please feel free to contact me, and I'm more than willing to talk about it. And this piece is for sale. If anybody's interested in it, just make a bid to my personal email, and we'll talk about it. All right. So I love all this texture that it came with. And,
where did you get it?
So I guess there's another thing I want to say about this. There's something about stretching yourself creatively, and I know that I'm stretching myself creatively when I actually feel afraid. Like afraid that I'm going to screw up, or afraid that I can't draw something. If there's something I feel like I can't draw, then that's something I have to try to draw. You know what I mean? And even though I've been at this for more than 20 years, 30 years now, drawing, teaching myself how to draw, I come up against limitations every day. And the thing is to not just stay in the comfort zone, and to try to draw things that I feel, uncomfortable with. So that in mind, I think I'm going to draw. We still have 48%. That's enough time and energy to put some more juice into this. Put some against, yeah. Thanks for looking at the first. There's more in here too. Fondling is encouraged. Put this. Okay. Well, talking about stretching, idea kind of been started last night.
$12. Yeah, the big ones I bought. $12.
Sure. I love you so much, my friend.
Big?
Okay.
No,
All right.
the ones I bought for the people, you gave me $2.
There we go. Used to having a little more room around here. And, being the weekend, I got what I got, and so everything's kind of jammed up. Not able to use that. Okay. So. There it is. There was this video I watched last night.
We have also another thing that's come up that deserves broad.
I bought this collective helmet from this guy right here.
There's this video that I watched last night. Robert Monroe. And there it is.
I took it to the store right here.
There it is. And there's something about oh man, take it back. There it is. That's it. That's what we're looking for. Something about his head. It's inspired this. He's like, I don't know if you can, if I show this to you, I don't know if you can see it. No, you're not going to be able to see it. But it's his head. There we go. That's what I want. That's it. Okay. All right. So I have kind of a, I think everybody has it, but most people don't pay any attention to it. It's this photographic memory thing. You know, if you look at something long enough, you start to, if I look at something, I can kind of recreate it. And so I'm stretching. This is a stretch. We're stretching ourselves here today. So. That's
my idea.
This is one of those store-bought prepared canvases. It comes with a black gesso instead of a white gesso. This works for this piece because something about the way the person's looks like a classic Greek mask. Alrighty then. Yes, I did. That's good. Pain in my wouldn't be the first time. I always find whenever I go to a hot spring and after a couple of days I start to realize the fine gold paint or paint in my hair somewhere. And I could seriously use a hot spring pretty soon. Bring this down a little bit. If I may. Yes, I may. Yeah. There we go. That's good.
I want to help her. I was going to help her if I was there.
That's good. Alrighty then. Come now. There we go. Cool.
Oh, I do it on music. Hey, how much is that dog? 100. 100 for the girl. The pit bull has to pick. There's the last one. He's like the bar quick. How we feel like they did. That's the boy right here. We have the other two. Yes. Actually, the store is more expensive. Yeah, those are like $1,000. Yes. Look at the dog hugging you. He likes you. But they get more fur too, huh? Yeah. They get all the Look at the bottom, guys. Yeah, yeah. Sky blue eye. Looking for the pure red. Dad is on pure red light. You need a first dog. Yeah, he's already pawned his thing over there. Put the right word. Paradise. Better to sell it or not to sell it? Not to sell it. So rabbit. I don't want to pick my stuff. I think the cost of the
She does what she does.
That's a good sign. Got an oh wow already.
Yeah, I like that.
Stay tuned. I'm not nervous enough yet. When you get really nervous, then you know you're pushing yourself. I'm nervous, but I'm not, you know, this is familiar nervous. I gotta get really uncomfortable. You know, one time, a long time, like 1980, it was at 89? 91. It was 1991. I was in, I'd left Key West, left this woman that I was in love with in Key West for the summer, and she was not happy. She was doing an internship for massage therapy, and you know, it's like 1,500 hours in Florida. This is in, you know, at Key West. She'd been doing it for like a year and a half. She had another 6 months to go, and she loved Key West. I mean, she'd been living there because she was Canadian, you know, and she didn't want to be cold anymore. She was adamant about that. But you know, summer came and I had to go, you know, I mean, I had to go to the Cape, I had to come out here for a little bit and then go to the Cape for the summer. I mean, how to, you know, missing, at that point, I'd never, up to, it wasn't until 1995 that I actually missed, you know, went a whole year without spending any time on Cape Cod. And I'd never missed a summer on the Cape up until that point. and I wasn't thinking I was about to do that either. So I had to go, you know, and because I'd been on Key West, you know, this 7-mile long island, 150 miles from the mainland, you know. I had island fever. I had to get going, you know. So I left her, you know, expecting that we would, you know, she'd come and come up to the Cape in the summertime, and I'd be back in the fall, you know. But there was nothing, you know, I could do. You know, I couldn't hang out in Key West all summer long and miss, you know, all these other opportunities and places. And had to itch your foot, man. Man had to scratch that itch on the foot. Yeah. So I headed out, went cross country, came over here, made it to the rainbow gathering and everything. But before I got to the rainbow gathering, I made it to here, and I drove up the West Coast, and I got to Mill Valley in the Bay Area, and my sister had a baby, had her last child, whose birthday it is today, as a matter of fact. I should probably make a phone call. And Allison, and I was playing tennis with myself. You know, I had a tennis racket and some tennis balls, and I like to find a wall somewhere and whack, you know, just to run around. And after being in the car so much, it's really good to get physical. And I was playing tennis in this tennis in Mill Valley. I had intuition that my sister just had a baby. So I called, and sure enough, she just had the baby. And so that later that day, I went to the center of Mill Valley. There's like a little commons there, with a little. It's probably a Starbucks now. I haven't been there in years, but there's this little island in the middle of the square in Mill Valley, and right in the middle of the town. And I found a parking spot and put up my easel and started painting this painting. And I decided I was going to do a study in the proportions, you know, the geometric proportions of the human face, right? So I'd block it out and I start doing it and everything. And I did, you know, I mean, the piece was easily like 3 feet by 4 feet, so it's a pretty good size. Actually, I think it was 4 feet by 5 feet, because I had it on a big piece of plywood that I had an 8 sheet of 8 by 4 sheet of plywood that I had cut specifically so that I'd have a 5 foot long piece and a 3 foot long piece, and I was using the 5 by 4 piece of piece of plywood that day, and the whole time I'm sitting this close to the canvas and I can't really see what the image looks like. My focus is really just this relationship between the eyes and the mouth and the nose and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I finished the piece, and right as I finished it, some woman walks up and she goes, "Wow, that's a really beautiful woman." And I was like, "Really?" And but she doesn't look happy. I was like, "Really?" And so I you know, did the classic, you know, artist thing. I turned away from the canvas and I walked about 20 yards away, and I turned and I looked, and it was this woman's face staring at me that I left in Key West. And she was pissed. You could tell she was not happy, you know. And so that was just another one of those situations that I learned that the universe was basically using me as a paintbrush, and that there's there's a kind of I came to trust the psychic connection that we have with our creativity, you know. That if we allow ourselves, our unconscious, to what we call our unconscious, but just in the past 200 years or so, we started, we came up with terms like the psyche and all this kind of, there's words are just words, but what is it that we're really talking about? And that kind of brings me to this thing, you may have heard me talk about this in previous shows. The idea, in studying this stuff about out-of-body experiences, I've been learning about lucidity, right? Lucidity is what, is basically consciousness, and the more lucid you are, the goal is to be 100% lucid out of your body, right? 100% conscious, and where you get to that place is by relinquishing density, because dense thoughts, forms, are what keep us from lucidity, from being conscious out of our bodies and being able to do it at will. And so I've, for the past couple of months, I've been doing certain practices that enable me to relinquish density. And, what is density? Density is fear, doubt, anger, confusion, jealousy, worry. You get the general idea. We know it when we desire. Desire is density, and there's no value judgment to that. It's not like density is it's a taboo or something like that, because density serves its purpose in the grand scheme of things. I mean, that's why we're here on the physical plane, is to experience density. And in fact, when it comes to prayer, when a person is on the physical plane, their prayers have weight, and because their prayers have weight, they can use that meditative spiritual focus of giving their attention to a prayerful state that can affect people in less dense places or even more dense places. And in fact, one of the things that I've learned. Hold on a second. Hello, I'm live streaming. That's, if you were curious why I was standing here talking to myself.
What's that?
Still trying to figure that out.
No, I think that's the lion.
Okay. I'll trust, we'll see. Okay. Well, whatever.
It's a lion. Se mira el motivo.
It's a monkey.
Rick Ross, the boss.
Yes,
Yeah.
Two. Are you painting yourself?
Does it look like me?
It's starting to.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
You know, everything is a self-portrait on one level, right? So basically, what I was saying about density is that we have all these different. We've developed all these different words, like I just said. You know, fear, doubt, anger, confusion, all that kind of stuff. But I think in some ways that kind of confuses the issue. The main point is that it's all density. So it's just important to remember to be very conscious of when we're experiencing density or generating density or creating density in our lives. And because then we can ask ourselves, is this what we really want to do? You know? And the other thing is, one of the things that I was reading this textbook on body experiences called on how to have an outer body. It's called Demystifying the Outer Body Experience by Luis Minero. And you can Google that. I think it's on Amazon. Highly recommend the book. And one of the things he's talking about there is that and Robert Monroe talks about this too in his books, the Journey series. You know, he talks about it in The Ultimate Journey and Journeys Out of the Body, his first book, and his middle book, The Far Journeys. He talks about how entities on the other side, consciousnesses on the other side, collaborate with lucid dreamers, conscious dreamers, people that go out of the body intentionally, to to assist. To assist in the redemption of those that are stuck in even more dense planes than the one that we're in here. Because obviously, if somebody comes from here, what they talk about is that all this body information talks about is that when you die, and your physical body dies, your energy bodies, we're multi-dimensional beings, right? We have an energy body for all these different dimensions, and whatever you did in the world, whatever amount of density and the energy signature of that density that you resonated at when you were alive, you are attracted to places, dimensions beyond the body that are beyond the physical world, that are in the same resonance, like I said earlier, right? So if you spent your life here acting in extremely dense manners, like you're you know, you're a very fearful person, and you know, have done things that reflect that fearfulness. You know, like you think that you deserve to be punished. You know, you think that you're unworthy, and you deserve to be punished. Then there are places that you and other people have created where you can punish yourself. You know, you can't do it forever, but you know, and some people call those places hells or purgatories or whatever. But they're, you know, being infinite immortal beings, you know, being multi-dimensional beings, we can we created this, we created the physical world, and we create those places, those dimensions. And when you're out of your body, it's easy to create stuff, you know. So if people, you know, have these thought forms that are like debilitating and dense, then they get attracted to places that are as debilitating, that reinforce that debilitation and reinforce that density, right? So what they talk about in the literature is that people hear conscious, you know, conscious dreamers, conscious lucid dreamers, and people that go out of the body intentionally often are called upon to work with disembodied spirits, different disembodied aspects of divinity, like ourselves, from higher dimensions or other dimensions, that are working on the redemption of those that are in these denser realms than the earth plane, to help awaken them and help heal them to, you know, come back to their sanity. The sanity being a recognition of their ultimate reality. The ultimate reality being that you're an infinite immortal being, and you can't be harmed, and you can do no harm ultimately, you know, but to yourself. And even then, you know, the universe has forever, so forever you're not going to be screwed up. You know, eventually we're going to wake you up, you know. And so one of the ways that we do that is by working with the higher dimensional beings, working with physical dimensional beings, because they're on the physical dimension, the dimension that is denser than the higher dimensional beings. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I like that purple line.
Oh, thank you.
Give me a hug. I'm almost done with this.
Oh, shoot.
My live stream.
Awesome,
So we
yeah,
got
I've been
about
watching.
9%. So it's gonna blip out in a minute. At 7. If you just wait a second, would you? Okay. So we'll be back here tomorrow, and I'll probably leave this, and unless I feel like working on it, I'll post whatever I've done so far and on the Facebook page. And I'm really glad we were able to do it today. It was right up when it turned 6 o'clock. I was like, dang it, I really want to try to do this today, because I miss it when I don't do it, you know. So we'll see you tomorrow, and there you go. You know, that really pierces the sound.
Sorry, America.
No. I'm just sharing information. Because I have a tendency to do that too. And I was like, wow, that is like, if I was listening with headphones, that would really, you know.
Lower off.
Yeah. Thanks to the LAPD, you know, protecting and serving us. So, yeah, beautiful day here in Venice Beach, and Father's Day, and don't forget to call your dad. And thanks for watching. You know, taking the time out of your magnificent Sunday or Monday or whatever the heck it is you get around to this, because it's archived. So, love and light. Oh, yeah, we love you.